I'm here at the Busch Wildlife Sanctuary and we're gonna give 2 bears an Aquascape upgrade.
And anytime I can get Ed and Brian and the whole crew down here by my house, pretty good.
Inside the bear enclosure right here at Busch Wildlife, and this is going to be an incredible transformation because right behind me we have these blue tubs in the ground. Very typical pieces of equipment that you're going to find at zoological institutions as well as aquariums as well as backyard ecosystems around the world. It's a container that holds water. What we want to do though is create living water. We want to create water the way nature intended it, which is why we're going to remove these tubs, come in with a flexible rubber membrane that's going to give us a lot of flexibility to create more of a organic shape. Then what we can do is we're going to have a pumping and a pre-filter system as well as a biological filter to handle any of the excess nutrients inside of the water, which is going to deliver the desired water quality for the bears. The other thing that we're always thinking about is we want to recreate their natural environment. Black bears, brown bears, different bears around the world are found in a wide variety of forested habitats. So what we want to do with this particular one is kind of have a shallow section of water going down into a deep plunge pool. This will allow the bears to cool off, especially in the heat of summer. Right here in South Florida, it gets smoking hot, so these bears are going to be lounging inside that water. So it's going to be an incredible sight to behold once they're inside utilizing this. But we want to recreate that natural habitat. We're using native Florida rock. So we have that beautiful Florida capstone, which is basically an old seabed. It's all coral and it's calcium carbonate, so it's a limestone type rock, relatively softer. It's kind of eroded away a little bit, which is going to create a really cool look. We're also going to be utilizing some large logs inside the feature as well, just to break up the monotony of everything inside, because normally where these bears are found, it's going to be more of a forested type of an area. So by having some downed logs and trees and things like that inside, it's going to give us that added visual aesthetic, but it's also going to be another source of surface area for microbial colonization. So we're going to have rock, we're going to have sand, we're going to have river stone, as well as logs and aquatic plants inside, which is going to round out the ecosystem, and it's going to really completely transform this entire space, especially once we get that waterfall operational, which will deliver that beautiful sound of falling water that's going to just emanate throughout this entire space, and it's going to draw in all the visitors right to the edge of this enclosure. I can't wait for this transformation that's going to occur in the next couple days. So because there are no fish inside of this feature, it's known as a drain and fill system. So what they're going to do is they're going to drain it, they're going to clean it out periodically and fill it back up with fresh water. The only challenge with that is you can get some dirty water conditions, and again, it's not unhealthy or unsanitary, it just has sediment and stuff like that inside the water because we don't have the ecosystem established to actually utilize some of the nutrients as well as have a sedimentation zone to pull this material out. So right now this is just an open body of water. As soon as we start pumping the water and moving it, now we have that water and motion kind of occurring. We're going to have a sedimentation zone down inside of our pre-filter that's going to allow the finer stuff to actually precipitate out. We're then going to send the water up to the biological filter. It's basically different layers of filter media and a lot of surfaces, but the key is microbes. We're actually going to add some different mixtures of liquid enzymes as well as bacteria colonies. They're going to start to inhabit and live inside of the filter system. And once they start getting like a film inside, it's a biofilm is what it's considered. So that film is actually a living, breathing colony of microorganisms trying to get stuff like this. They're trying to get food out of the water. You can see little particles of things inside of there. So what's going to happen as the water flows through the filter media, all this living stuff is going to be reaching out and it's going to be pulling in these microscopic little particles. They're going to consume them. All we're trying to do is create a recycling program. So there's stuff available in the water for something to feed on it. So now what we want to do is have the little blend of things that could actually utilize that material for their metabolic processes, and the outcome basically is going to be clean, clear water. And I'm going to show you step by step exactly how we're going to pull that off right here over the next few days. It all starts with removing this rigid hard tub out of the ground to have more of that flexible membrane type of a setup, but because we're working with bears, we have to protect it. So the rubber membrane is there to hold water in place. We're going to layer on top of that heavy geotextiles to work as a protective barrier, and on top of that we're going to come over with a concrete cloth which is a very thin material. It's a geotextile, but it's embedded with Portland cement. It's going to create a cementitious barrier between the bear claws that could potentially damage the rubber membrane underneath. Now we have a rock hard surface, and then we're going to cover that up with many, many tons of river rock, sand, and boulders, and all that other mixture of stuff to create this ecosystem. We are in the middle of the Otter Pond excavation, and look who showed up.
I love it. It's right down the road from me, man. You're 2 miles away from me right now.
Cannon is the entire reason we are here. He had a connection. He's known Amy for
20 years. What Busch Wildlife does for the local community and the community of wildlife in South Florida, and to a greater extent, all of Florida, you know, these are people that put a lot of work into the rehabilitation for our native species. It was a no-brainer that I put you guys together. And
awesome.
Anytime I can get Ed and Brian and the whole crew down here by my house, it's pretty good. So this is the winter retreat.
This is the winter retreat.
We're inside the Otter Pond. These guys are going to love it.
They are going to love it.
Yeah.
So they went from they had the tubs in here before, which meets the requirements and everything. But after talking with you and Amy, and we came out here and started brainstorming, kind of recreating that naturalistic riparian zone where otters are actually, that's their normal habitat. We want to blow them away by letting those animals interact with water the way nature intends.
That's what makes the animals so exciting. Think about it when you're out. He's talking about riparian zones. We're talking about being on the river, being close to water, where water and earth meets. That's where life is, really.
Absolutely.
When you're out there experiencing it, you see an animal in the wild. Think about that. It's like seeing a celebrity. It's better than going to Hollywood. You know, when you're out there and you see an otter, you're like, no, it's a freaking otter. It's not Brad Pitt. It's an otter. You know, it's like you've been put behind the velvet ropes of nature. What I love about the Aquascape system here, people are going to see animals behaving as they should. Fringe benefit is it looks beautiful.
It does.
Yeah.
Not only create a cool environment for the animals, which is always #1 thing.
Of course.
But like you, I mean, you're a one-man band. Like the amount of maintenance you have taking care of the animals, they have the same thing here. So like if we could lower their maintenance a little bit by creating something that's a little bit more sustainable, then they could focus more on the animal stuff versus, hey, I gotta clean the pond.
That's the one thing that I preach about this on my channel as well, is how minimal the amount of work it is. I think twice a year I get in just because I love being interactive with the pond. I get in there and I might do a water changes, but I gotta be honest, the biofalls, the wetland habitats we've created, that you've created, have really been the workhorse and saving me.
So we're definitely want to swing by your place. We got to check stuff out.
I can't wait.
You know, I mean, it's always a blast.
I want to say 5 water features in my house.
Yeah.
You're gonna love this, guys. You see this cool stuff right here, friends? I don't have to wake up at 4 in the morning on a freezing night to go look and see it's 68 degrees in Cayman Creek. You guys are awesome. Anyway, go get the Aquascape app, will you?
And it's great not only for exotic animals like yours, but even for koi fish.
Yeah.
Knowing when to feed them and things like that, I think it's super important.
I can also control the pumps. I can shut the pumps off on very cold nights here in Florida, which isn't often, but I can actually shut the pumps down and create a stagnant water, and that actually helps keep it warmer.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry I've taken us on a way ADD trip, but I'm excited they're here. Yeah, I know. These guys want to get some liner in.
Speaking of workhorses.
So if you want to check out the entire Otter Pond, definitely check out Team Aquascape vlog.
My thing.
We have moved over to the bear exhibit. Finally, been helping Brian all day long.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Helping Brian.
You were talking to Kristen, I think, right? And she was saying that the bears did not like going into deep water like the otters. Like the otters are going to dive in and they're going to do whatever.
We'll do some shelves and stuff in this one. And some bigger, easier ways for them to get in. These guys just want to take a big bath.
And ideally, I mean, if we can keep them focused coming in and out of one spot, like that'd be way easier. And then we can barricade everything else and, you know, make it steep so they don't want to go in or out that way. You know what I mean? But look how much room you have now on this side.
Oh, I know.
Like you could actually use the excavator instead
I feel like I'm on the moon. Free. Literally, like I'm floating.
We're here at Camp Kennan. Kennan on the other side of the fence, in the cage, where he belongs.
Where I belong. That's where I always am. That's the beauty of the Aquascape ecosystems. I want to become part of one.
Cayman Creek, awesome, awesome project we did with Kennan now 3 years ago. We were just chatting about it. I can't believe it's been 3 years.
Yeah, come on in.
My first time back.
See what's happening. What's really cool, again, is Florida. Things grow. Look, we got this.
Cow.
This is the friendliest snapping turtle in the world. She's always hungry and never full. Actually, she is also one of the animals that I was gifted by Fred. So Caiman Creek came about because my good friend Fred passed away. He left his caiman and alligators to me and some of the other turtles that he kept. So Caiman Creek was a way of making sure his animals have the life of luxury. You know? And again, you guys are an integral part of that. So let's see if we can find Lucifer, the caiman. You know, it's weird, like everything's just kind of growing.
Insane.
Just watch yourself step. Whoa, there he is. Oh my gosh.
Look at his,
I was calling him and there he
snarly
is.
little face.
Here's Lucifer.
Look at this.
That is a dwarf caiman. Do not tempt fate. Just because they're tiny doesn't mean they won't give you a good wallop. In crocodilians, size matters not, and it's usually the smaller ones that can do the most damage because they're so agile. You know, they can really tear you up. Now, he can't eat you, but he can give you a good what for. You know, these are the most terrestrial of the crocodilians. So when we designed this, Ed and I, we designed that mimicking their habitat. These are not animals that need large water features. They want a small pool. They sit in the pool, they'll wander around on land to different pools, but they specialize in eating crustaceans, anything that comes down to the pool to get a drink, and they'll just nail it. And ladies and gentlemen, here she comes, good old Marge.
Watch where you're going. You're going
to fall right down. Yeah, no problem.
She was just looking us in the eye.
So let's go ahead and we'll move over to the next section and we'll look at the smooth front caiman. Check this out. This guy is cool. Now it has warmed up a bit, so they're feeling a little bit more frisky. This guy was extremely shy. I was worried about him, right? Like, he's not eating, but his belly was full. His tail was still had mass. And then I came out maybe 2 months ago, and I hear stuff going on in the pond, and I look, and he's got a little heron in his mouth.
Oh, really? No way.
Yeah, so he actually caught and ate a heron that was in here fishing for fish.
Boy.
I did remember seeing rabbits in here from time to time.
Well,
I don't see rabbits anymore. I think he's been making use of the natural buffet
it is an
that the ecosystem provides. You know? And then right behind you is the female caiman. But what's cool is these turtles move back and forth through the different pools. The caiman move around through the pools. You come out here at night, they're very nocturnal. So they're out walking around.
I love just the subtle differences in the pools. Nice little flow coming down to it. All the water. We have the pre-filter down below. Oversize that to keep your maintenance down.
Oh my gosh, I have not had to do anything.
And I like, you know, we had those couple little beach entries exactly like what we're doing at Busch Wildlife.
Did you see how he used it?
He walked right down it.
Yeah, path of least resistance. Why do I need to make life difficult for the animal? Just in and out, that's what we need to do. Just really a special feature here. You guys have done a lot of work in my house. I really owe you guys a lot. Don't tell them. I'm like Aquascape South.
Yeah, I know.
You know, I'm
exactly.
the
You got a
South.
warehouse of stuff out here.
Oh,
and
I love it. Absolutely love it.
My favorite, Slinky.
Mine too. This
so
enclosure
awesome.
is nuts. But look at how things have grown. I've got papyrus.
Check this out.
Oh, we got Godzilla. Yeah. So there was, everyone has to have a Godzilla. It's Godzilla versus Slinky. Slinky! Look at how clear the water is though.
Spotless. I mean, check this out. This is the home of Slinky the water monitor. For those of you that follow me, you see me do this stuff 1,000 times, putting in the natural logs, putting in all that naturalistic stuff to create those really cool riparian habitats. Exactly what we're doing over at Busch Wildlife. You find a recipe that works and you continue doing it. So we're putting it together in different configurations. But this one, to see Slinky, I don't know where he's at, but seeing him swimming around those logs and stuff like that, just kind of hunting, just unbelievable. Unbelievable to see him the way he was meant to be.
He's retired for the evening. He's found his heat pad, just laying on that. But there is the Slinks, just an amazing animal, man. I love this lizard. You see him, he's just very alert, very inquisitive animal.
Well, one of the most craziest experiences I've ever seen.
I know where you're going. Go ahead, tell me.
It was a National Geographic moment.
It was amazing. It was Trials of Life. It was like David Attenborough.
Exactly.
I was no David Attenborough though. I was going, oh my God, this is amazing!
You still got a scar across
I didn't have the class or gravitas. It was just pure, like, oh my God, he's got a snake! He got a snake!
Oh, what?
No, don't do it, Slinky! Oh my God! Not my snake.
Whoa.
Hold on, Slinky. He's gonna get it. Oh no, come here, Slinky, don't do it.
No.
Slinky, ow, ow. This is my banded water snake.
You ain't getting
Shoot.
that from him.
That's what he was on about. He must have smelled him. How do I get a snake out of the mouth? I don't think it's gonna happen. Oh my God, this is the trials of life right here. This water snake's been here since the beginning. I'm not happy about this, but this is Slinky, man.
He was on edge. He's looking for something. You kept saying it.
I know.
And then he just searched and searched and he found what he was
Sadly, it
looking for.
was 4-foot banded water snake that I actually loved that just moved into our rec pond.
Yep.
But whatever, Slinky likes snakes.
He's like, this is my house.
Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you what, why don't we wander over to the rec pond now?
I'm ready.
All right, see you, Slinky.
Check this out. This is a negative edge reservoir. Down below this, we have all those aqua blocks in here. This is going to act as the pre-filter for the recreational pond. This beautiful little waterfall, we have this little pooling area down here, and then we have walkways for his tortoises to kind of come into the water so they have access to a clean source of water that continues to flow 365 days a year. We have water cascading over everything, and it just looks incredibly natural. And this is actually the spot where Slinky caught that snake. None of this vegetation was here because I had a clear line of sight on it. And then on the other side, there's Cape. The recreational pond is on the other side of this, and I think it's time for us to take a walk.
So that is a brown water snake. Look at how beautiful.
Beautiful.
It's amazing. This
He's
is
a tiny one. He's a little baby.
Yeah, little guy. So you know that there's reproduction happening in
Yeah.
here. You know, when you guys told me I was going to be getting a rec pond, I always wanted a large pond, right?
Well, I remember seeing your drawing that you did when you first purchased the place,
When
and
I
you
purchased
actually
it,
had
I
a
had-
big pond drawn right
well,
here.
you guys made a dream of mine come true, and I'll never forget that as long as I'm on this earth. I literally have my own botanical garden to walk through, and to see things like this, I don't have to go far.
Right.
I appreciate that. You and Greg have really just made my life here in Florida so special, so thank you.
Oh,
for
yeah,
that.
it's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Always love coming by. Thanks for opening your home to us. I love to see stuff that's well taken care of.
Oh, thank you so much.
And you have love into it as well. It's like you're like this is your thing. So it shows. It's like just to see everything, all the constant additions, is just awesome.
We're gonna keep going. I don't know if we need more ponds or not, but I would never say no. Maybe down the road here, we could do something fun for baby turtles. I think would be a fun project.
That'd be fantastic.
We don't have to go as big as this.
Yeah. All of our CACs are coming into town as we speak. That's why we have to take off now, because they're arriving and Brian and I are not there. We have a huge project to take care of some otters as well as black bears at Busch Wildlife.